Hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the full moon in Pisces, the full moon in Pisces that is perfecting on September 7th. This is not going to be something that is going to be viewable here for us here in North America. It is actually going to be more that southern hemisphere on the other side. So it's going to be more for our people in India, New Zealand, Australia, the Samoans over there, depending on what area of Samoa we're talking about, because there's multiple islands in the Pacific, but not viewable from North America or from Europe. That's the main thing I wanted to put across. Now, before we get started, I want to remind everybody that I did announce on the month ahead episode that I am running a special all month long for my individual one-on-one readings. You can do an hour-long session with me for $35. You can do a 90-minute session with me for $50. Both of those have been lowered. All you have to do is go to the website, www.thespirituallyboujee.com, go to astrological services, and look for the one that says Eclipse Season Special. If you book under anything else, you are not getting a discounted rate. Look for and it should be the very first one. Whenever I did the month ahead episode, I actually showed it on the screen, and it was the very first one. So there's that. Running the special till the end of the month. And again, this will be the last full monthly special that I will be running for 2025. So yeah, get your bookings done while you can. So moving along. Now, this isn't our first eclipse in Pisces. However, it is our one and only eclipse in Pisces with the North Node here. Now, the North Node represents the head of the dragon, the head that has been detached from the body. There's a lot of ego when it comes to our minds and the decisions that we make. There's a lot of desire whenever it comes to the North Node. I will consume, I desire, I will control. Gimme, 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 I'm a greedy baby. But the North Node is in Pisces, which is not a selfish sign. It's more emotional. I might get some heat for saying it's not a selfish sign. The sign itself, people are different. The sign itself. Pisces is a reflection of emotions and wounds and healing, letting go, releasing, purging, but not purging in the detrimental sense. It's that emotional release. When it comes to the water signs, I always look at Cancer being more of the rains that come in, the storms that roll in, because it is that instigative sign. Whenever it comes to Scorpio, it's more like rivers and lakes, because we know where the bottom is, we know where the edges are, and it is supposed to be long-term vibration around water, in the sense of like, we want our ponds to stay full, because then they're full of fish. Then they can water our livestock if they're well cared for. Pisces is the ocean. We don't know just how deep it goes. We don't know just how deep the wounds are. We don't know what we don't know whenever it comes to Pisces. The deeper and the darker that we go, the more reflective we can become. And over the last week, we've also had good old daddy Saturn return to Pisces. And this tells me that whatever is activating in this eclipse has layers, it has levels, it has phases to it. Key term there, phases. For some of us, what's about to get activated in this eclipse is going to be the next phase, the next level of things that actually activated all the way from last summer, specifically September 17th of 2024. Now, in the month ahead episode, I showed the two charts together. I showed the 2024 eclipse next to the 2025 eclipse. And I'm going to do that again here in just a minute. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to show again that one, there is an element of this eclipse that is directly tied to the last one. And I do remember the last one. It was an out of sign eclipse. It was an eclipse before the North Node had moved into this area. And it was something that activated internally that I desire something, but in some way I'm not ready for it. And for me to get ready for it, there's something I must cleanse, there's something I must purge, there's something I must heal. I got some unfinished business, I got some shit to deal with. We got some things to deal with. We need to understand something that we need to heal. But it's not a repeat of the prior healing. It's not a repeat of the prior vibration. No, it is the next phase. It is the next level. It is the next part. The vibration of the last year emotionally and all the different tests that we have been through have prepared us for what's next, what's to come, what's new. Now, there's not a whole lot of big bang growth in the new when it comes to the rest of the year. There's linear growth. And I said that before. A lot of us over the course of the summer, we've moved into new directions. We've moved into new things. We've shifted our focus. And upon the shifting, different things have come into focus, different ideas, different perspective. And now we're in an energy where we don't have the ability to continue to grow, but we do have the ability to reflect and start to expand in the linear fashion. Now, I know that can be kind of an odd thing for some people to hear. It's more along the lines of like, if you started dedicating yourself to one particular situation, one particular connection, one particular event, and it's the one that has worked out. Because some things have not worked out. There's some people that have shown that they can't grow with us. And that can also be a part of the emotional reflection of where we're at right now, is understanding that some people can't grow with us. But parts of the vibration speaks to recognizing now where we're at and staying focusing on growing at a linear, solid level. I don't want to just work in this office one day out of the week. I want it to be my full time. I want to do it 3 or 4 times out of the week. I want to have different hours. I want to grow the brand, but I want to grow the brand in a way that allows for sustainability, not necessarily rocket to the moon. These are 2 different concepts. Linear growth, consistency. And for a lot of us over the course of the rest of the year, that's exactly what we're working towards, is linear growth and consistency. When we get into next year, we'll pick back up on the pace for bigger growth. But right now, that's not where we're at. We're trying to maintain a consistency and seeing if we can even be consistent in the vibration of what we've been focused on. Consistent in our partnerships, consistent in relationships, consistent with our kids, consistent with our healing, consistent with our growth. Because we do have our own form of unfinished business right now. And that for a lot of people is recognizing who, while you have grown over the last year, can continue with you, will keep being with you, will work with you, that they're also a part of the future process. Now, whenever it comes to Pisces, Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It speaks to closure. It speaks to endings, releasing, purging again, like I said, letting go, and healing. Now, if we had a bunch of other big courses of transits going on, I would honestly put a lot more emphasis in regards to this is going to be a very active full moon. I don't feel like it's going to be active in the physical sense. I feel like it's going to be active in the internal sense for more people. Can an external thing hurt our feelings? Sure. Some people are assholes. It is what it is. We all know it. Some people are assholes. And an asshole can definitely hurt our feelings in some way. But I don't feel like that's going to be the full element for everyone. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that needs to be emotionally kind of purged out of us so that way we can release and let go and start to focus on, again, the linear pattern of growth. Now, I don't know that we're going to all be able to recognize the linear pattern in this full moon. I think it's actually going to be the rest of Virgo season going into the second eclipse and that second new moon in Virgo. I feel like that's when we're going to be more aware of the linear pattern. I feel like there's something here that we need to recognize. One, if we've done the healing process since last year. If we have, there's going to be the next round, the next phase, the next element. Two, if we haven't done the work, there's going to be a fast track of unfinished business letting us know, hey, babe, the work you needed to do here that you didn't do, I'm going to make it heavier. I'm going to push more buttons. I'm going to bring a lot more emotions to the forefront. And I'm going to make you sit still to understand something for a while. And the main reason I bring that part up is because I look at the condition of the two rulers of this eclipse. Because remember, Pisces has two rulers. Traditional ruler is Jupiter. There's a big conversation we'll be having about Jupiter as we continue. The other ruler is Neptune. And Neptune is still in Aries. He entered back in right at the end of the last eclipse season. He actually entered right as we went through the out of sign Aries eclipse and has been lingering in the same area of the sky basically ever since. 0 to 2 degrees. That's the range. That's why I'm saying basically the same area of the sky. So we have a lot of the vibration that can speak back to prior dates and prior inspirations, prior ideas, prior lies, fraud, deception. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we're talking about Neptune now. There's so many people that you cuss about Saturn, you cuss about Mars. Those two are so clear cut in regards to whether they're going to bring judgment or not. If it's Saturn, you know judgment is coming. If you don't like Saturn, it's because you don't like accountability. And I said what I said. Neptune is the hardest to pinpoint. It really is, because it really sounds like when I'm explaining the elements of Neptune that I am just throwing crap at the wall to see what sticks. In the positive light of Neptune, there can be healing, there can be inspiration, there can be spirituality, there can be this major spiritual growth, there can be artistic needs, and there can be levels of healing. Positive side of Neptune. Negative side of Neptune: lies, fraud, deception, stealing. But it's not like small amounts of stealing. It's usually large amounts of stealing. I'm one of those weirdos that whenever I go back and I watch like things like American Greed and stuff like that, I will look up the transits as to what was going on whenever those people started doing what they were doing and got caught and stuff like that. And 9 times out of 10, Neptune. big, big areas of lies, fraud, and deception. But in the health sense, it can go either way. It can be the spread of an infection. It can be addiction and being overwhelmed by addiction. There can be a full disconnect from reality and things that impact our mental capacity. And whenever Neptune is like making conjunctions to natal placements, you really can see like he's trying to make you disconnect from things. But there can be the other sides of like healing, where we could have infection, we can have healing, where we could have addiction, we can have recovery. And it really kind of comes down to how well you're dealing with Neptune's vibration. So if I break it down into thirds, the likelihood that it's going to be nice anytime Neptune's involved. And again, Neptune rules one part of where this eclipse is. A third of us are going to see something nice. Just math is math. 2/3 of us are going to deal with some extra part. And again, there's something about this vibration that speaks to something that has been going on for the last year. And I feel like this is the full moon that triggers the need to step back, the need to recover, the need to go deal with some unfinished business. And I think there's going to be an emotional account in a lot of people. But whenever we look at the condition of Jupiter, Jupiter's in its exaltation. Jupiter is in Cancer. And Jupiter is in this place where he is exuding capability of wealth, prosperity, healing. Jupiter is the doctor, the guru, the teacher. And there's a lot of this vibration that speaks to it's time to learn and expand on something that has been previously been disrupted. We've had a lot of disruptions over the last year, so I don't even need to go with dates. Y'all know that we've had disruptions. And it's time to learn something. It's time to understand something about our body, learn, grow, and heal it. Many of us have had some kind of recent news with the doctor. We've had some kind of diagnosis. We've had something about our health coming to the forefront. And Jupiter's energy and how it ties into this, because this full moon is going to be in a trine to Jupiter, that it brings layers, levels, phases. And it can speak to understanding where we had disruption before, why we're feeling the way that we're feeling now, and the steps we take to heal it, given the fact that right as we go through this full moon, Jupiter is in a square to Mars. So I'm going to show this as part of the chart. And there's just so many layers and levels to this that I just, again, I don't feel like everybody is dealing with something big and external per se. It's more internal. I've actually took Mars off here. So I'm going to add Mars back in. All right. So here is the 2024 full moon out of sign Pisces eclipse that happened on September 17th of 2024. And again, this full moon perfected where Saturn was at that time. And over the last week, with this September 7th eclipse, Saturn being back in Pisces has reactivated that it's time, because again, Saturn rules time, karma, things along these lines. It's time to refocus on something from before. It's time to see something from before very, very differently. And in some ways, Saturn and this full moon have swapped places. I'm going to say in some ways, because the full moon in 2024 actually perfected at 25 degrees. The other reason I say in some ways is because Saturn won't make it back to 25 degrees until November. Parts of the retrograde for Saturn will actually not end until we get to the fall, like the other parts of the fall, the latter part of the fall going right before winter. Saturn's retrograde will end where the 2024 eclipse happened. This 2025 eclipse is happening where Saturn was a year ago. The next few months, just going off of the reflection of Saturn and what he's bringing to the table, the next few months is necessary to understand the full unfolding, the necessity of healing in regards to this Pisces eclipse. This eclipse comes with layers, it comes with levels, it comes with phases that for some people will take a few months to completely heal and understand. For other people, it will take the full year going to the third and final Pisces eclipse. It's going to happen on August 27th of 2026. The last one, the closeout one, quite literally. Many of us, if we really pay attention, we will find the connection between all three. What activated in 2024, we will be present in where we need to heal something, expand our knowledge, or teach how to heal in the present, with the idea that there will be reward in the third and final one. And again, for a lot of people, it will take months, all the way up to a year for us to fully understand what is being activated in this Pisces area of our charts. It's going to be a long time. Now, again, when it comes to this vibration, I want people to be aware of more internalized energy than external. And there can be impacts to people's minds and their decisions, but a lot of people's decisions are going to be more, again, coming from an emotional standpoint or a healing standpoint. And for some people, that healing standpoint is going to mean standing your ground. You won't hurt me this way anymore. You won't impact me this way anymore. This is not going to continue. For other people, this will be a triggered emotional energy, still emotional, but a triggered energy that will take months to a year to completely separate from. And I hate saying that. Some of y'all get real stubborn of, I don't want to let go. I don't want to. I understand you don't want to, but babies, if you're holding on to the things that bring you pain, if you're staying committed, expecting change, but never seeing it, always anticipating change because you're doing your best, you are making active decisions to stay committed to the insanity. And I know a lot of people hate when I say that, but it's true. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result from a person who continuously keeps showing you their nature, their opinion, their side. My loves, you are making an active decision to stay committed to the insanity. And this is not a Joker movie. It's just not. It's just not. Okay, moving along. We're going to get into the charts. Now, if you have never heard a full moon or new moon video with me before, that is perfectly okay. I read everything from a whole house system. What does that mean? I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. Whatever zodiac sign your ascendant is in, that entire zodiac sign is your first house. And every numerical house that follows will be associated with the next zodiac signs. So with that being said, we're going to start, of course, with Aries and Aries risings. Okay, my loves. This is a full moon in your 12th house. That means it is in the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal, retreat. I want to separate. I want to fall back. I don't necessarily want to be connected to the same people. I don't want to be doing the same things. Some of y'all don't want to be doing the same things. Others of you have dealt with something recently that is just kind of making you feel like you need to retreat. Or, given again, the other half of the eclipse axis is in your 6th house of health. There's been something in regards to health that is allowing for a break. It's allowing for a reprieve. It's allowing for a retreat. It's allowing for a different level of healing. And if you've been going through treatments, because I know a lot of you have been, sometimes you just have to take a break from the treatments and let your body recover. And there's something about recovery, retreat, recovery, letting go, just sitting still, being in the moment, and allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel, because you have new things that can come later on. It's just needing the time to reset. Now, with Mars, your chart ruler, being in that 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and legal matters, there has been a very large decision for you guys to take a step back from certain people. Your first card out was the 5 of Coins. This is a bankrupt card. This is a desolate card. This is a divorce card. This is a separation card. Your chart ruler is in that 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and legal matters. Some of you recently had to file for something, whether that is a breakup, whether that's a lawsuit. You've had some kind of connection with the other side that has forced a different way of seeing things and a different way of thinking about things. And again, there is something that speaks to needing to just kind of take the step back and retreat. I got this 4 of Coins now. Now, the 4 of Coins means you need to keep your cards close to your chest And I'm saying this more in the sense of like knowing that Saturn has now retrograded back into the 12th. And over the next month and a half, Neptune will also do the same thing. You have certain things that you, in the long term, want to work out better. But for you to be able to make those long term things happen, you need to take the step back. You need to release something. You need to let something go, whether that is an actual person in connection or whether that is fear of loss, of betrayal. We need to take that step back and just have some R&R. Now, the Five of Coins is the worst card that you have, just to be clear. Everything else that speaks from that tells me again, we have long-term vibration that is really kind of coming through in the cards that speaks to the potential of later on, but you needed the recent energy to show that way you could be prepared for later on. Some things were shown to you. You've needed a different kind of light. You needed a lot of the things that happened throughout the summer, because I'm thinking Mercury retrograde happened in Leo. We got the Sun card now. All of Leo season was basically that. We've got Venus right now in Leo. So we've got a lot of things that it's showing. There's a lot of things coming to light and a lot of things coming into revelation. And as more and more comes into the light and becomes seen, it's letting you know who continues with you and who doesn't. And once you make this decision, it's going to trigger a different chapter for you. Now we have this Fool card. It's followed by the Six of Wands, and it's followed by the Ten of Coins. So these are beautiful cards. There's a level of achievement that follows. There's a level of success that follows. There's a level of long-term connection that can follow, but it's not necessarily always going to be in that immediate vibration. But there is hope, there is potential, there is promise. It's just allowing some things to cool off and allowing yourself to take the step back from certain people. While Saturn was in your first, both Saturn and Neptune, of course, being retrograde, and Chiron on top of that, I haven't had a need for Chiron right now, but he is also retrograde too. Little by little, you have felt where you need to pull away from certain people. But in that pulling away, that leaves you in an area of one, dealing with wounds all over again, and two, being in a state of confusion. And I'm equating now that you just have Neptune in the first house, that state of confusion. If we're going through levels of confusion or feeling like you're lying to yourself, I don't think that you are. It really comes down to the individual situations. I think that once you allow yourself to fully commit to taking this step back and not being so driven to make things happen, you are Mars ruled. So a lot of times you do that. But here pretty soon, Mars is going to go into Scorpio. Literally by the end of the month, Mars will be in Scorpio. And while we're going through the 8th house, 12th house vibration, there's either going to be something that is an actual death for some of you. It is the truth. But for others, it is going to speak to a trigger of transformation, emotional, spiritual levels of transformation. And a lot of the rest of the year, whenever it comes to your area of unfinished business that's getting activated in this particular eclipse, is what you need to do to transform yourself, to heal yourself, and to be in a better state in 2026. Taking a few months to just focus on your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, whatever you need to do to not be connected to those people, to not be responsible for the same things, to allow you to be in a very different mindset into next year. It's being activated for you in this 12th house eclipse. So be aware of that. It can have levels of betrayal to it, whether it's self-betrayal or betrayal of another person. It's going to be different for everybody. Some people, it's going to take you back to the past. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. But by going back to the past, it means understanding levels of closure and doing something for the last time. Because I have a lot of us that have needs for closure. So the new you can come through next year. So remember that. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Taurus and Taurus risings. Okay, my loves, this is a full moon eclipse in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues and people who should not have ever been more than a friend. And dealing with the repercussions of people in your surroundings. I'm saying that part in particular because we went from Saturn being in your 12th house to now Saturn back in the 11th while we're going through this actual eclipse. And many of us, it's time to recognize certain people differently, to see certain people differently. And it really kind of comes back to if you were doing stuff back in the Mars retrograde or the Venus retrograde, so over the last year that you should not have been doing, we might have some karma coming in that area. I hate saying that, but it is true. I just feel like a lot of us are going to have something that kind of comes through. Just be aware of that. And you can start to have certain connections that got made over the last year, especially during those two retrograde timelines. So basically from, post-shadow, pre-shadow to post-shadow, that would be October of last year, all the way to basically late April of this year. We can have some of the dynamics from before, the relationships from before, the people from before, that now we're starting to see them differently. And some of you might be making the decision that you don't want to stay in the same level of connection with them, or it's exactly the opposite. It's because we did do all the right work before that now we're seeing a level up. Now we're seeing a different benefit than what we originally anticipated. And given the fact that this is a Jupiter ruled full moon, first and foremost, there can be a lot more of a hopeful vibration for you guys compared to other people, but there can be the frustrations and the judgments too. There's a difference in the path that's unfolding. And a lot of you are going to be able to finally recognize who does not go with you, like I said before, and do different things to build your confidence. Now, that confidence can be within yourself. It can actually also be within your family, because remember, your chart ruler, Venus right here, she's in Leo. She's in that fourth house of home life, and family. So for some of you, what's going on next is actually not just what's going on in the surroundings, but it's also where you call home and what you're dealing with family. That's a part of that undoing, or it's a part of that change. It's a part of that adaptation. It's a part of that need to heal. It's a part of that growth vibration. Some of you are going to be holding other people accountable in a way that they don't necessarily understand. But there is a need for the accountability, the judgment, so to speak. Here's the judgment card. Here's the 10 of Wands. And to relieve yourself of a burden. Some of you, by holding other people accountable, it is then going to change the way that you care for your family. It can have financial economics to it just as much as it can have like full trajectory surroundings vibration. But we're not going to see all of that at once. Again, it's going to have layers, it's going to have levels, it's going to have phases. In the most mundane sense, you could be doing something with a friend for the last time, even if you don't necessarily realize that. You could be just kind of hanging out and being around certain people that kind of give you a good vibration. We have that 3 of Wands energy. But then we can also see certain people wanting to make moves on their own, or we can be telling people in our surroundings about the moves that we are trying to do for ourselves, because we have the 3 of Wands, and we have the 9 of Coins, and we have the Queen of Wands following it. So this speaks to being in the right place at the right time, being around the right people at the right time, whether it feels like it or not. It's like we have this moment of connection and surrounding. And the 9 of Coins, that's a boss bitch energy, but it's singular boss bitch energy. Now, some of us with the eclipse axis going between that 5th and the 11th, we can start to realize and start to pursue someone different. Some of you might be letting the veil down a little bit, be like, you know what? I can let you out of the friend zone. Some of you are going to be telling people you are never going to be out of the friend zone. And there's going to be some mix of that for some of you too. But I do feel like we have these vibrations that speak to knowing the difference between friends and lovers, having a shift in the people that we surround ourselves with. But it doesn't have to be a negative shift, because the last card that you have is the 10 of coins. It's a directional shift in so many ways. The right people can connect you with more than just more clients. It can connect you with trajectory. It can connect you with hope. It can connect you in power. Like, there can be very big shifts that are starting to unfold, but they're, again, transitional shifts. They're shifts that are going to be taking place over the course of the next year. For other people, it's going to be, again, the level of judgment, and it's going to be holding someone accountable, and it's going to take an entire year for everything to fully like turn around and shift into the direction that it needs to. There is potential, there is growth, there is direction. It's just not all showing itself at once. And that's the thing that I want to be clear about. Some people are going to have emotional confessions from your friends, and that you ain't about it. Because Venus is in a quincunx to this full moon. And I'm not going to bring that up to everybody, but Venus being your chart ruler, I do want to bring up the fact that Venus is in a quincunx, so she's not seeing eye to eye with the situation. And sometimes you just have to be in the surroundings, be a cheerleader, and be there going, that's your path, baby. I don't want to do it, but good for you. Do what you need to do if that's what you think is going to work. For some of you, you might have been dealing with something recently that has led to this level of like completion or level up emotional vibration that's coming through. And some of you, it is going to be an emotional release. That's not the purge. It can also be like confession. And there can be things around confessions that needs to come to light, that needs to come into focus. But it's not just about the present moment. There is events over the last year that are leading to this vibration, and this vibration is a transitional one that has layers and levels and phases that will be unfolding again over the next few months, all the way into next summer, going towards that August 27th of 2026 timeframe. You have a direction unfolding. Many of you have a direction unfolding of a long-term path, of a long-term vibration, of a long-term hope. And that's going to take a long time before it can be completely understood, but it can start to have elements of understanding right now. Okay, moving along. I feel like I went on a tangent with you guys. I'm sorry. All right, to Geminis and Gemini risings. Okay, my loves. This is a full moon eclipse in your 10th house of career, father figures, hopes and dreams for the future, goals for the future. Now, for some of you, there is a big financial goal in this. Now, this is, again, a full moon in your 10th house of career, but it's making a trine to Jupiter in your 2nd house of money. There is a financial benefit that can happen in the days around this full moon for many of you. For others, it is going to be over the course of the next few months. For even more, it will even take the next year. And there can be a lot of excitement in that, given the fact that Uranus is in your 1st house. And for some of you, if it is having to do with family, it's like having to deal with mothers and fathers simultaneously, or it's telling fathers that we're going to make a trip, we're going to make an adjustment, we want to do something differently, or it's telling our clients, our coworkers, that we're going to be doing something differently. There is something very different in our path unfolding, because with Gemini risings, you've had this first little itch. I'm calling it an itch. I've been calling it an itch for a while, of like, I want to do something long term, but I know I can't just do what I want to do. So I have to allow for time, or I have to get through the next year. I have to finish this session. I have to finish this semester. I got to finish something before I can hit the levels of achievement that I want. And for some of you, you're telling people in your surroundings that that's what you're doing, that I want to go in this other direction. I have a different plan for the future. I have a different plan in career. For some of you, it's like telling your dad, I want to go in this direction. I want a different path. I want to do something that feels unexpected for a lot of people. And I'm only saying unexpected because you guys do have Uranus now in your first house. And over the days building up to this eclipse, Uranus turned retrograde. So you have an opinion change about where you're going into the future, about your public image, about the direction that not everybody is going to be ready for. And sometimes when you tell people things that you did have a change of opinion, there has been a change of plans, like they don't necessarily like it. And again, it can trigger a lot of emotions, and even for some people, betrayal. So we have the Seven of Swords coming out. We also have this Three of Wands. So I do feel like in a lot of ways, whatever vibration is coming up that's impacting you, it's either you've made a decision to do something different and it impacts everyone around you in a whole way that they did not anticipate. And some people can even, again, feel emotional if they can feel betrayed, or it's because of the things going on around you that you feel forced to make a certain decision that you didn't even necessarily want to make. And if you have to pull away from someone, and I'm thinking Uranus turning retrograde in the first, so you starting to pull away, you pulling away could feel like betrayal to someone else with that Seven of Swords energy. Now, again, time tells us everything. And over the course of the next few months, there's going to be a lot of like rebalancing as to what the sudden shift is. And we have this Justice card. I'm also looking at the fact that this is a Libra card, that Mars right now is in Libra. As soon as we get past the second eclipse, so the second new moon in Virgo, we go straight into Libra season. We have a lot of like Libra transits that are going to start to be unfolding soon. So the whole idea is that we have a lot of things that speak to like a rebalancing in the energy and what's going to be what's fair and balanced for you. Now, some of you have had certain hopes and dreams for the future. You've had certain plans of things that you've wanted to do, and there could be a medical reason why, as to why you have a shift in your opinion. And that again can take months of recalibrating and needing to focus on something. I don't feel like that's going to be something in the immediate, but I feel like we can still become aware of something, because again, this is a Jupiter ruled eclipse, and this has got Neptune, the other ruler of this eclipse, in a sextile to Uranus. And there can be some information that comes through that's not completely known. It's not completely clear. It's got a little bit of confusion and haze to it. And it will like take again the next few months to recalibrate as to like what that actually is and what's representative to that and what it means. But all in all, I feel like there is direction. There's a different path that's starting to unfold for many of you in regards to like long-term gains, long-term perspective, long-term plans for the future with this Queen of Coins. We have this Nine of Coins here of like wanting to do something on our own and do something more independent. Again, with Uranus in your first house, a lot of you are wanting to do something more independent. And we're starting to picture something. Again, we've had an itch of something we want to do, but we know we're not in the right place. We don't have all the right tools. We need time for it to make sense. We need time for it to happen. And I want you to understand that there can be a lot of representation in regards to the unfolding of your goal and what you are trying to manifest for yourself. And this Empress card feels like more goal oriented. However, I will say we are in a Virgo season, and a lot of us, if we're not just dealing with something with our dads, we can be dealing with something with our moms, and where we need to take charge with something for our parents. That can be more in the health sense also. Just to be clear, that we could need something or take charge of something with and around our parents. And again, it's going to be something that speaks to things that need to be recalibrated, rebalanced. And it is going to force us over the next few months to pull back from some things. but it's not going to be pulling back from everything all at once. So with this Empress card, for some of you, it's the site of the management and manifestation of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to reach. For others with this Empress card, it is something about redirecting our energy to where we're dealing with something within our home life, within our family, most specifically mothers, but it can be fathers because the full moon in the 10th can have to do with fathers just as much. So we can be dealing with something directly into our family and having to take some additional responsibility for something that we were not anticipating. So there's that. Okay, moving along. Moving along. For Cancers and Cancer risings. Now, this is a full moon in your 9th house. It's higher education. That can be higher learning, long distance travel. With the sun and Mercury being in Virgo, we could have had a lot of things that have required travel. We could have also had a lot of things going on that require a certain amount of knowledge or training. Some of us are going to have to teach some people some things. Some of us are going to be having to learn some additional things. Sometimes it can be a mix of both. Given again, this eclipse is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your first house. Some of y'all might be having to take some level of responsibility of teaching some people something or learning through experience. That can be a big thing too. Learning through experience, stepping into the unknown, stepping into things that we've never dealt with before, but also having some level of momentum or having some level of confidence boost in this just by learning, just by going on the trip, just by doing that thing that we weren't necessarily anticipating. And I'm saying that because Jupiter is in your first house. The traditional ruler of Pisces is in Cancer. Now, for some of you, you could just be making the decision to go somewhere else, to do something differently, to connect in a different way. And that is a very positive way to deal with things. Some people might not necessarily like the growth and everything that you're doing. Some of you might be getting called back somewhere that you haven't been in a long time, most specifically in your home life or with your family. Because again, right before this eclipse happened, we had that square between Jupiter in Cancer, so Jupiter in your first house, and Mars in Libra, that fourth house of home life, and family. Now, again, this eclipse is ruled by two planets. Neptune is in Aries. Neptune is in Mars's sign. So the layered effect of what Jupiter square Mars is has extra emphasis as to why I'm saying, like, for some of y'all, this can have to do with a house. It can have to do with a family member. Some of you might be getting called back or traveling back to see family. Some of you might be going because you want to go. Some of you might be going because it's time to put an end to something, some level of conflict. So we have the 5 of Wands and we have the 9 of Wands. The 5 of Wands is a conflict card. It's a frustration card. It's a combative card. It's an argumentative card. The 9 of Wands means we've been carrying a burden for so long. And as we continue, the need to carry this burden is going to go away. It's going to fall off. And for some of us, if we're getting called back somewhere, we're getting called to retreat, getting called to go somewhere, getting called to learn something or relearn something. There's something that we didn't remember, or there's something that has changed in the meantime that is going to show reflection as to why we are getting called back, to go back to the basics in some way. For you guys, that's exactly what I just heard. It's like we have to go back so we can get back down to the nitty-gritty of something, the basics of something, so we can start again. And we have these two cards that both speak to starts in regards to our long-term path, the Ace of Wands, and our financial path, our financial journey, our successful journey, the Ace of Coins. As much as Jupiter, it is the doctor, the guru, the teacher, Jupiter can also be wealth and abundance. And sometimes you have to go back and deal with something, allow something come to a close, because once you sell the family farm, not all of you are doing that, but just humor me as I say this next part, or you sign off on the estate, or you do something in this vibration, like it's like once you finally commit to the learning, the travel and that need to travel and what you're dealing with, once you make that time in that space, like it allows for new things to unfold. And these are long-term things. We are going to follow this up with Knight of Coins, as well as in the future, new long-term connections. We have this Lovers card. I am not the Sunshine and Rainbows reader. A lot of you guys know this already. So when the Lovers card comes out, I look at this in a bigger, bolder aspect. As much as it can be the union of love, smoochy, 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 I don't always go to that. I don't. For other people, it is going to be the need, the desire to connect or handle something or put something to bed, but by going back or going into the thing, going into the direction, committing to the lesson, committing to the learning, not only do you get something that will help you for the long term, the Knight of Coins, that slow moving earthy energy that it is, but with that Lovers card, it can connect you to people, to places over the next few months into the next year. So again, from this Pisces eclipse to the next one, that can be, again, a part of the long-term journey. And I look at the Lovers card as like it can connect you to long-term partnerships over and over again. And I especially feel like that's going to make itself known or make itself more clear for us as we go into the start of 2026. Specifically that January timeframe. The amount of people y'all going to be having to deal with the first of next year is mind-blowing. You don't even know it yet, but it's coming. And sometimes you have to commit to something now that feels like a sidestep. It feels like, again, wrapping up some unfinished business. That by making the space, committing to wrapping it up, committing to learning the lessons, committing to whatever you're committing to. And with that Lovers card, some of y'all are committing to some things. By making that level of commitment in the long term, it's going to lead to additional doors opening. It's going to lead to additional connections. I really like this solar year of Jupiter in your first house. You guys do not understand how hopeful I am for Cancer risings right now. Well, let's keep going. All right, moving along. We're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. Now, babies, this is a full moon in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources, payouts of any sort. That can be investments, that can be insurance payouts, payouts of any sort. We have a financial adaptation that is being activated for you guys in this Pisces eclipse. Now, some of y'all, whenever we had that Mercury retrograde in your first house, it forced you to change your opinion, change your mindset of what you desire and what you want to do moving forward. And we are getting to a point that we can start doing something different, but it is going to, for a lot of people, be a linear move. For some people, the idea of any kind of change is going to be overwhelming. For some people, it is going to require you to do something that you didn't necessarily anticipate, but it feels like it's the only way to make things go well, make things go right, because there's so much that needs to heal, even for yourselves. And in the long run, whether it is a business change, whether it is a health change, because I'm looking at the fact that in this eclipse, it's a Jupiter ruled eclipse, primarily Jupiter. I'm putting more emphasis on Jupiter than I am Neptune, only because we have the Jupiter square to Mars, and Neptune is in Mars sign. So I'm putting more emphasis on the Jupiter Mars square on top of this eclipse. It feels like there needs to be some kind of separation. There needs to be some kind of undoing. For many of you, it can be a financial level of undoing, or a financial level of completion, or a financial level of judgment. We literally have the judgment card. And many of you can be very, very overwhelmed, Seven of Cups, by the idea of making this change. But once you commit to the decisions, we have this Two of Coins following this. We have Judgment, Seven of Cups, and the Two of Coins, all as these first three cards. It's like once you make the decision to hold someone accountable, I'm again going with the Judgment card there, most likely financially accountable because of the 8th house eclipse, pursuing the lawsuit, again, having to do with an insurance payout or child support or whatever financial, like, aid. I'm saying aid. I don't mean this just in the aid sense, but I mean this like, however you get like financial support or a financial payout of some sort from another person. Once you make the decision to hold this person accountable, there's going to be a lot of work involved. 8 of Coins. But the things that start to unfold for you in the long run can be huge in regards to the potential, with the Ace of Coins and the Ace of Cups following it. For some of you, it can be like by making the decision to go into a different career, by going into a different job, by going into a different field, or if you stay in the same field and you just move to a different department, or the same company, a different department. Like the linear change allows for a lot more things to unfold, a lot more direction to be had, to be seen, to be noticed, to be felt. But with that 8 of Coins, there's going to be a lot of work to make it happen. And again, whatever adaptation, whatever change we're doing, for a lot of people, we need the linear growth. We need linear change. We need to shift some things sideways to open up our plate, to open up the potential. The shifts are not just big, overcoming, bold, but for many of you, it's a necessary step in your healing process, a necessary step on how you can finally close a chapter in your life. Because again, this full moon, it's trining Jupiter, and it's ruled by Jupiter in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal. Some of you might have a discovery in this full moon that benefits you in the long run, but it's overwhelming in the moment. It's like a discovery of something that has been going on behind your back. Somebody releases that information. Some of you might be having issues with your siblings, Jupiter hitting that square to Mars in the 3rd house. Some of you might be having some kind of issue in communication with certain people. It's more along the lines of like with Venus in your 1st. The best thing for you to do right now is to make the decisions that are best for you. And for some of y'all, you're going to have to be selfish, even if you don't necessarily usually find yourself being selfish. Some of you are going to have to be selfish a little bit and just allow for things to happen naturally and unfold, because you need to do what's in your best interest. Some of you are going to struggle with that. Others, you're not. And be like, oh, I could be a selfish bitch. Fine. I can do that all day long. Screw you, screw you, screw you. Others would be like, that's not my game. I don't usually do that. The best thing for you to do in this moment is do what you need to do to feel better. And if that means holding somebody else financially accountable for what they've been doing, then do that. If that means pushing someone to pay something off, do that. For some of you, you just need to pay it off. It's like, but as soon as you do, it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better not having to worry about that debt anymore. Because we do have such a financial shift going on right here. The other thing about the 8th house is it can be a house of secrets. Secrets, lies, betrayal. And there can be things that speak to that in this full moon also. But it's like once you get confirmation of the secrets, the lies, or the betrayal, it allows for you to finally have the confidence to let go, release, purge, or it finally gives you the ammunition to let go, to release, to purge. It's like once you have the truth, once you have that information. And again, it's not all happening in one particular moment. This is going to be something that takes the next few weeks, months, and up to a year to completely unfold, given the fact that, again, this is the Pisces eclipse, but it's the second one. We will not have the full extra one until next year. Pay attention to whatever happened last year in the last eclipse. If that one impacted you financially, then we're probably going to see financial again. If that one impacted you in regards to secrets or lies or fraud and deception, then we are going to have some extra layer element that's coming back again. We had foreshadowing a year ago. And the 8th house is a death house. Jupiter is in the 12th. It can be a death house. Do we immediately have to have someone pass away for us to have to deal with death? No. But the awareness of death can be very real. And even if it's not something you deal with in this moment, it can be the diagnosis of something that you end up dealing with later. Because again, layers, level, phases. There will be levels that follow what's unveiled in this full moon. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Virgos and Virgo risings. I know y'all are enjoying the sun in your first house, and there's been a whole different level of attention on you. And after all the stuff that happened over the summer that made you uncomfortable, a lot of you are in a much better mental position. And I love that for you. Let's be honest. Now, but this eclipse is not about you. I'm going to leave you guys alone in that regard right now. It's more tied to the other side. This is a full moon in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters. The ruler of this full moon, the primary ruler, the traditional ruler, is in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues and people that you like to surround yourself with. Alliances. And some of you might be coming to terms with the decision of you might need a partner in something, or you might be ready for a relationship, or you might be ready to finally file for divorce. Some of y'all got to face some shit. Oh, you didn't want to face it before, but it's like now the truth has come out so many times. And again, that 12th house energy that you've dealt with all summer, some of you, like, you've had to deal with certain truths. So that way you can come to a better point within yourself. So you could come to the realization of what you need to continue. Like, you've had to deal with the cost of betrayal in so many ways. And now, after so many things have kind of revealed themselves, we're in a whole different mentality. We're in a whole different mindset as to what we need to do moving forward. Now, again, we had a lot of 12th house energy. And considering Venus is literally where Mercury started its retrograde, where Mercury left shadow, it's about 15 degrees of Leo. There could be a lot of things that we're finally recovering from. We're finally releasing and letting go of. We're finally facing certain fears that we were struggling with over the course of the summer. We have this 9 of Swords energy. We can also finally be doing certain things in regards to dealing with past betrayals and past frustrations in regards to, again, that full moon in the 7th house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters. Saturn retrograding back into this area can finally tell you it is time to hold that person accountable. It is time to face your fears. It is time to let this go. But for so many people, the letting go is not just a one and done situation. Even if you try to make it a one and done, it's easy to break up with them. I could just let it go. It's like for the rest of the year, you see that person trying to do shit to get at you. You see that other side doing things that they don't need to do. And it's starting to make you question in so many ways, like who you surround yourself with. And I got to tell you, with this Queen of Swords energy, if somebody shows you a version of themselves, believe them. Do not commit to the insanity. Do not keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If they wanted to, they would. And some of you have to come to terms with the fact that some of y'all have let people in and they should have never been more than a friend. And there is an energy here that speaks that some of you need to release, you need to purge, you need to accept a certain truth in regards to letting go of a partnership. Now, not all of you are letting go. Some of you are having new people come to light. There's new people coming into focus. There's new things starting up on the horizon. We have this magician energy, and so much of this as a mercurial card, knowing that the mercurial side of this eclipse axis is a lot more dominant than the Pisces side right now. There's so much of this that speaks to because you let something go, because you've changed the way that you connect with people, because you've decided to go in a different direction and you want to focus on linear growth, that you are able to do things that other people could not imagine. It's like you're creating a path, you're creating an unfolding, and you're doing a lot of work to make something happen. Four of Coins. You are having to do the work, but you are also having to make smart financial decisions. Some of you have had to make some kind of adaptation of like, I'm not going to continue working in one area. But because you did that, like now it's like, okay, tighten my purse strings, just tighten up a little bit. And if we tighten up just right, then everything else will unfold exactly as it needs to as we go through the rest of the summer with the Sun card, as well as over the course of the next year, again, going into the fact that whenever we get into, I didn't say this with anyone else, I'm saying it with you guys. When we get into that final Pisces eclipse, Jupiter will be in Leo. That final one that will happen in August of next year, Jupiter will actually be in Leo. So again, all the things that you need to do to make things happen over the course of the next year. And so much of this energy and so much of this vibration is meant to benefit many of you. But for you to be able to get where you need to be, that means really taking an account as to who we trust, who we surround ourselves with, who are our friends, who are our enemies, who's doing the things that they say that they're going to do, and who needs to be held accountable with what they haven't done, where fulfillment has not been met, been reached, been held, been handled. And that goes into this Pisces eclipse. Many of you are going to realize you have to hold another side accountable, or you have to start meeting a new way of connecting with other people. And I'm looking at the layered effect of like, this is again a full moon in the 7th and Jupiter in the 11th. Is we're making a commitment that also is going to impact the way that we connect with other people. And it's not just one level of commitment. It's a layered level of commitment. It's going to take work. It's going to take time. But if you do the things correctly and you hold yourself accountable, by the time we get into the spring of next year, you'll be in a whole different ball game with the way you're connecting with people and clients. So there's that. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Libras and Libra risings. This is a full moon in your 6th house of health, how you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you are of service. This can also have to do with pets, livestock, what you have to deal with whenever it comes to your animals. There can be something with that. Others are going to be having different things going on in career. And many of you have felt some kind of twinge of not being able to trust, connect with certain people the way that you used to. Some of you have had to make certain decisions to cut some people off. There's been a whole different realm of accountability, given the fact that Mars, the ruler of your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, is in your 1st house. Over the last week, Saturn, who's also been in that 7th house of relationships and legal matters, has retrograded back into Pisces. And it has let us know there's some stuff either in someone's health or stuff in somebody's orb and what they're dealing with that has forced you to either deal with judgment and deal with letting some people go, or it has made you realize that other people are moving away from you. And for many of you, it's almost like there's a form of either a toxic pattern coming up or there's a form of isolation. And if you're going through the levels of something that is forcing you into isolation, remember, I started to warn with you guys that parts of the end of the summer going into fall, for many of you guys, it's going to be like a smaller dark night of the soul energy. And that's because one half of the eclipse axis is in your 12th house. And again, we've got some things that are bringing up some old emotions and making you aware of like what's been going on behind your back, but also making you aware of like why you need to disconnect from certain people. And what I'm looking at is Venus, your chart ruler, is in Leo, the sun sign, while the sun is going through your 12th house. And there's a lot of things that, again, speak to understanding parts of the past and where we need to release some things, where we need to let some things go. So we have the Three of Swords and we have the Devil card. So both of these are going to speak to different forms of betrayal, toxic patterns, things that other people have said about us that has like created a wedge. And we're starting to see a very big difference in the people we surround ourselves with. And for many of you, again, if you're feeling spiritually tested right now, it's because there's elements in this energy that has spoke to going through like, it's not a full dark night of the soul. It's like a minor one. It's like small spiritual lessons, small elements of understanding how we finally close out something and cleanse something and let some things go. Because over the course of the next 6 months to a year, we will be able to level up on that spiritual journey and be able to take something into whole different chapters of our lives and whole different ways of connecting with people, trusting with people, working with people whenever it comes to this Wheel of Fortune energy. You have to let people go. You have to have levels of purge so other things can start to unfold. Now, if we've been going through purge for a while, I'm not surprised. Like this Eight of Wands is like all gas, no brakes mentality. A lot of the messages, a lot of the things that keep coming through, a lot of the direction that has been coming through has already been in fast movement and it's already underway and it's going to continue to stay underway now that we're in eclipse season. So with this Eight of Wands energy, there's so many things happening all at once that some of the times we're even going to miss certain messages whenever it comes to our spiritual journey. And I want people to be aware of the need to meditate, to work through this energy. Over the next month, whatever you need to purge, whatever you need to let go of, whatever you need to release, it will make sense as to why those things needed to happen. And it's going to allow in the long run, not in the immediate, in the long run, for a whole new chapter for you, the people you surround yourself with, in partnerships, the way you are of service. It's going to require you to realize something very new within yourself, for yourself, around yourself. And you're going to recognize the need for a lot of that once you allow ties to be cut, once you finally close certain doors. Now, again, in the mundane sense, this is a full moon in your 6th house. There can be something in your health. There can be something that disrupts your routine. There's something about how you are of service, how you can be of service to other people. And there is a shift of timeliness and karma in regards to how we care for certain people. And some elements in regards to the way that we care for certain people is starting to shift. And there's a different level of responsibility in regards to like, some of us need help caring for ourselves. Some of us are having to deal with something in our health. And the shift is going to be like the people that we trust to care for us needs to change in this way. But there can be a lot of things related to health. And again, requiring you to disconnect or we're requiring you to be a part of someone else's disconnection. So the new can come through once we get through the next few months. It's going to make more sense once we get to the second new moon in Virgo, but there is some element that speaks to like the cleanse, the clearing, the purge. And for a lot of you, again, it's a Pisces eclipse, so it's an emotional one. And there can even be things around father figures. That doesn't always mean your dad. Sometimes people hear father figures and you're like, but my dad's dead. But you got kids, they got a dad. You got brothers, you got cousins, father figures. Given that Jupiter is in that 10th house, be father figures in their health. Creates disruption around you. Uncles and their health, and it creates disruption for you. Family members in general, and it's creating disruption for you because you have Mars in your first house. And it is the impact of those other people that have put this issue onto you that is now again triggering things of like what we need to do to retreat, what we need to do to heal, what we need to do to recover, uncover, let go, release, and allow for new things to unfold over the course of the rest of the year in the linear pattern that we will be in. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Scorpios and Scorpio risings. Okay, my loves, this is a full moon in the 5th house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children, creative energy, lovey-dovey energy. This could actually be like really good for a lot of us. But considering one of our 2 chart rulers is Mars in the 12th house, the only way we can be happy is to let something go. The only way we can be happy is to retreat and do things that are better for ourselves, do things that allow for us to finally release, do things that allow us to finally move in a different direction. But there is so much internalized reflection in this full moon, given that Mars is in that 12th house. And remember, right before we have this eclipse, Jupiter goes through a square with Mars. That's actually exact on September the 4th, but there is a square that happens that like gives direction. It gives the action of what we need to release, what we need to let go of, what steps we need to do to move forward. And there can be achievement in so many ways, but it's hard to see the achievement because in so many ways with Mars in the 12th, it's like walking through a cloud of the unknown, a cloud of being uneasy, of feeling like we're on hollow ground, because in so many ways, we're trying to still make steps into a whole new area of life, into new territory. And it's testing our boundaries. It's testing whether we're happy or not. Are we good with things or not? And there's so much of this energy, as much as we want to be out and having fun and enjoying everything. And, oh, all this exudy Jupiter in Cancer, full moon in the 5th. And I want to be creative and I want to be happy. As much as we can do all of that, there's still some parts of us that also don't want to be connected. We want to hide. We got this Hermit card. Following the Hermit card, we have the 6 of Swords. The 6 of Swords is like, I see a woman in a boat, and you can't necessarily see where she took off from. You can't necessarily see all the edge of shore. Everything's foggy, but in her mind, it does not matter where I'm going. It's got to be better than what I'm leaving behind. And there's a reason so many of us are in this clouded energy. It's funny because this is the only sign that's had the 6 of Swords. And I have absolutely hated Mars and Libra. To go from high drive motivation, we're getting things done, we're getting things going, to Mars going into Libra going, what just happened? The 6 of Swords is so real right now. And sometimes we just need a mundane situation. And some of us, whenever we do that 5th house eclipse, it's going to be like we're seeing something with a loved one, or in that moment we want to do something like spontaneous and fun and creative. For some of us, we're just wanting to do something with our kids and celebrate them, or we're going to have the kids' birthday party, or we're doing something in this regard. And it brings out something in our inner child, but it can also bring out something from our inner child that needs to heal. Now we have this Wheel of Fortune card. And in so many of us, we're at this turning point in regards to like trying to reconnect with things that make us happy, that reconnect us with things that bring in our inner child. And it's going to take the next few months for a lot of this to make sense. And with the Sun card, this takes me into one, we had a very, very busy summer through Leo season, that Mercury retrograde in Leo and all that. But that's not actually the transit that I just saw with this Sun card. What I'm also thinking of is we're getting closer to Mars going into Scorpio, and we're getting closer to having a lot of conversations about what we have pushed forth in change since the Mars rebirth that happened in November of 2023. I haven't talked about that in a long time. And for us to really step into the next level of the achievement that we're getting closer to, we have to get through the muck, the fog, the cut things out. We got to kind of, step into the uncharted waters, step into uncharted territory, and allow for things to unfold naturally. Six of Coins. And I feel like once we get closer to the second new moon in Virgo, there's going to be some connections that get made that are going to help with the levels of achievement. And considering literally, we have the new moon in Virgo, and the very next day, Mars is coming into Scorpio and the sun goes into Libra. And I feel like our energy pattern, especially with as exhausting as this energy has been, it's like our energy pattern is going to be able to finally step up a little bit more and do a little bit more and achieve a little bit more with this Empress card. Excuse me. We have more coming, but it's like we have to get through a vibration of healing and funk and letting go of the past and not being as connected to certain people and allowing other people to do what they need to do, and us stay very tight in that Hermit card. Because once we can get out of the funky vibration, which it's 3 weeks away, because I just looked at it. It's like September 21st, 22nd, 23rd. These are the few days that like our energy level will pick up tremendously. Once we get to that, through that, into that, the connections will be faster. But it's like sometimes you need a good cry. That's the best way I can describe this. And you purposely need to go out and do something that allows for you to shake the emotions out of your core. And some of you need to like physically go do something. You need to go hit a punching bag. That's the only way it's going to come out. Some of you need to be creative. You need to paint. You need to do something like this. Others, you need to go watch the sappiest of movies possible so you can just cry it all out. But I feel like a lot of us, before we can get to the connections in the next stage, we have to get through some of our funk, or we literally have to deal with people that are creating the funk in us and get them off our backs. It really kind of comes down to the things we're leaving behind and what we're willing to do in our steps forward. Okay, there's that. Moving along. We're getting into Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. All right, my loves, this is a full moon in your fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, mothers, matrons. It could be you as a mother. It can be something going on with your actual mother. Some of you are going to be learning that you're going to become mothers. Some of you are going to be looking at the idea of bringing someone home to meet the family. Some of you are going to be going home to hang out with your mom or to hang out with a family member, and somebody else is showing up that we weren't necessarily anticipating. There's something in this vibration that speaks to a shift in the home life. And for a lot of you, it can even be a financial shift. Why am I saying that? This is a full moon again in the fourth, in a trine to your chart ruler, Jupiter. who's in your eighth house, death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources. Some of you are taking out a mortgage, a HELOC, you're refinancing. Like in this eclipse, you're closing on your home and you're telling everybody about it, but you're like, I'm closing on a house, but none of you can come over for the next few months because it ain't ready. I got stuff to do. I got other things I got to work on first. Some of you are having to deal with a fallout within the family, and it can impact you financially. Because again, this is a full moon in that fourth house of home life, and family. And Jupiter's in the eighth house of death, debt, taxes, and inheritance, and things along these. Some of you might be having the worst case scenario in your home life with that full moon in the fourth, while others are having the best case scenario. Some of you are having issues in regards to like what's going on with both mom and dad. And it's like, God, at some point, something has got to give. Some of you might be having old issues coming back around because, again, it's a fourth house eclipse. But we've got that Saturn coming back into the fourth, and Saturn was there for 2 years. So there's something about a past vibration coming back into focus, coming back onto our plate. It can have to do with a family member. It can have to do with an in-law. It can have to do with the other side, unanticipated, unexpectedly, just as much as it can have a financial recourse because, again, Jupiter's in the eighth house. And there's a lot of frustration that can be had. So I'm going to start it out clear as day. We have the Tower card. I'm sorry, guys. Now, the funny thing is, the Tower card is truly the only card in the deck that represents a structure. This is a full moon in your fourth house of home. Just going off that. Some of y'all might have an interruption in the actual home that requires repairs. It requires responsibility. It's going to cost you some money. You might have to file an insurance claim, or you might be finally getting insurance money to do some kind of repair because you had issues before. If I connect a real life scenario that actually happened in the last eclipse season to this eclipse season, here in my local area, there were huge wildfires during that Virgo eclipse and that Mercury retrograde that happened, back in March. And I know some of those people are still either trying to get insurance to pay out, or they're trying to finally get repairs started on their house because there's only so many contractors or so many people approved to do certain things. And if you had a total loss, humor me, I'm not projecting this onto a bunch of people. I'm just being real. If you have a total loss, it takes time to go back and prove what you can of ownership of all of these different things. Like, and it's annoying to sit here and think like you have to prove ownership of a bed. But if you had collectibles and antiques, there can be something, again, about the past situation coming back around about the home that has a financial impact. I'm using a really big example right there, but some of you might have had something going on in the house before that now we're coming back to it and it's got an expense to it. We thought we got a repair done, but we've had to deal with something else, and it's got you having to make some decisions that are not necessarily emotional per se. They don't have to be emotional. Can this bring up emotions? Obviously, yes. If you have a leak under the sink and it's like being underneath the sink brings up some old memory, or that water damage brings up an old memory, like some of you might have to deal with emotions in that way. But in the moment, this is more along the lines of like we have to make informed, educated, necessary decisions with this Queen of Swords, because with swords, there's no emotions. And so much of our focus, again, can take us back to old things where they're going to test us. They're going to make us feel whether we are doing certain things right or not, with that Tower card, Queen of Swords, and now the Strength card. But it doesn't mean that we can't put things correctly and we can't get things successfully achieved. Six of Wands, as well as this Six of Swords. Now, with the Six of Swords, it's a woman on a boat moving forward. You can't see where she left. You can't see where she's going to land. It's foggy all around her. And it doesn't matter where she lands, because in her mind, no matter what, where she lands has got to be better than what she left behind. And as we start to reach certain points of success, we also start to reach certain points of understanding being in a fog being clouded about something, being out of the know can benefit you. Some of you are going to find out that you've been in the fog, you've been in a cloud for a while, and something over the rest of eclipse season is going to like push you into the charge of something. And given this Emperor card, it can be the charge of a family member, it can be something with a dad, it can be something with a father figure with that Emperor card. And given again, the next eclipse is going to be in Virgo, and it's going to be opposite of Mars. There can be things going on with mom and dad. There can be things going on with family that it's going to take the next few weeks to completely understand and unfold the level of responsibility that is being had, that is going to have to be taken, that is going to have to be observed. Don't be surprised if your emotions are getting triggered in this full moon. Some of you might even have memory emotions. Like it's just the old coming back around, and there's something internally that you have to deal with. So just be aware of that. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Capricorns and Capricorn risings. Okay, my loves, this is a full moon in your third house of education, short distance travel, siblings, having to do some level of travel, work around travel, planning around travel, doing some car drive somewhere. Some of you might be having to rethink your daily commute and your daily travel. Some of you are going to have to really hone in on certain conversations or communications or decisions, because what I'm looking at is this is a full moon in your third house, which is not a heavy placement, but the ruler of this full moon, the rulers, plural. One is Neptune in your fourth house of home, life, and family. Saturn just left your fourth house of home, life, and family. And Jupiter, the other ruler of this full moon, is in your seventh house of relationships. Some of you are getting tested in relationship. And there can also be tests that are impacting the home life. Now, for you guys, I've seen a larger pattern that a lot of this can be feeding off of what was going on in the Mars retrograde before. It's like leading something now. We're bringing things up to the forefront. Many of you have some level of completion and a whole different chapter turning that's starting to come through. We have internal transformations as well as external transformations. It's funny because I have some of you that are in great relationships right now, while others are starting to see certain things from before in a whole different light. And it's like we have to expand and grow the awareness of something from before. We have lessons to learn and a lot of emotional overwhelm and wounds that need to be coming back up to the surface, that need to be dealt with in some way. Now, your chart ruler, Saturn, retrograded back into Pisces right before this eclipse happened. And it is forcing you to take a step back from your home life, from certain family members. It is forcing you to rethink a home dynamic because of Saturn leaving the fourth house. Some of y'all were thinking about house shopping, and now you're like, you know what? I don't like the market. I don't like the interest rates. I don't like what it is. There's too much that's been going on. There's too many decisions that I'm not comfortable with. I need to take a step back. There's too many decisions that you guys are uncomfortable with that is going to require or push you to take a step back. Saturn has retrograded back into a previous sign. Saturn going backwards is what's going to be bringing a lot of the emotional overwhelm. It's bringing a lot of the tests, and it's making you aware of where we didn't quite release all of the emotional burdens that we thought, given that we also have this 10 of Wands. And I'm specifically saying emotional burdens because Saturn is in Pisces. Emotional burdens that we need to release, that we need to let go of, that we need to stop carrying. And we need to recognize when some people are good for us or not good for us, because we have the Seven of Swords, and this is a betrayal card. Now, Some of us are starting to see a partner differently, the connection with a partner differently, especially things that would go back to that Mars retrograde whenever Mars was in this area of the sky. Some of us, we made certain connections and now we're able to expand upon those connections. I'm feeling more if like Mars was direct and that's what we're expanding on. Other people, if you were dealing with things since the Mars retrograde, we're learning a different side, a different development of someone that we previously saw. And a lot of what's going on right now, everything is already in motion with this Eight of Wands. Like this is all gas, no brakes. There's a lot of information downloads. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of things that are just kind of buzzing by that's coming to the forefront that's a part of this conversation that needs to be addressed, but not everybody's able to address things all at once. And there's this very big chapter turn for many of you guys with this death card and this Wheel of Fortune, that chapters of your lives are coming to a close, but they're not coming to a close all at once. There's a need for an attention in another area so you can heal, so you can work through the emotions, so you can release the past, so you can let go of things. For some of you, it's going to have to do with an elder. For some of you, this is having to do with a partnership. For others, it's having to do with family members and those levels of relationships. But there is a final mix and a final chapter that's coming into the forefront over the course of eclipse season as to where we need to let go. There is going to be a release. There is going to be loss. There is going to be death. For many of you, there's death on the horizon. I'm not saying death directly in this full moon. I mean on the horizon. And it's like once you go to somebody's doctor's appointment with them, once you do something with them, once you step back into it, once you go back to your family home, once you do whatever you do, it's like it shows you what you didn't know before, what you missed. You were so distracted by something else, we missed something. And Saturn going back into Pisces is making you reflect on what you missed. It's going to be good for some of you. It's going to be bad for others. But there is a need to do deep levels of spiritual healing over these next few months between now and February 14th. With Saturn being in Pisces. I'm specifically saying that part for you guys because Saturn is your chart ruler. Moving along. All right. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings, this is a full moon in your second house of money, your assets, your stuff. A lot of you are having to deal with something financial because of what happened with other people, because of recent legal matters, because of some kind of shift in partnership. You had a lot of shifts in partnership over the course of the summer with that Mercury retrograde in Leo. You have had to deal with legal matters in a certain way with that Mercury retrograde in Leo. Like there was a lot of the energy of the summer that has led to some kind of change and you having to take back responsibility of something. Even if in the moment you don't necessarily know how you're going to handle that. Now, why do I say that? I'm looking at the fact that one of your chart rulers, Saturn, has retrograded back into Pisces. And upon him re-entering Pisces, your other chart ruler, Uranus, stopped moving. In fact, over this last week going into this eclipse, he also turned retrograde. So for you, there has been a lot of shock to the system that has made you realize that you can't continue into something. And many of you are getting stuck trying to figure out a way to get to a better place. Some of you were not prepared for where you're at right now. Some of you are having to deal with certain elements in your surroundings that you did not realize that you were going to have to deal with. And it is going to force you to go backwards, whether you like it or not, because Uranus just turned retrograde. By November, he will be completely back in Taurus. So there's a lot of things that they're speaking to. You guys being forced to sit still, getting stuck in something with the same. And this was the first card that came out, especially because of the financial elements, 5 of Coins, forcing you to go back. You don't have enough money to continue. You don't have enough money to do the things that you were doing. But once you realize you didn't have enough money, it again forced something to the surface. It forced something to the forefront with this Tower card. It forced us to recognize something differently. Again, with that Tower card, there is turmoil. There has been frustration. There has been judgment. There has been accountability. And now, again, there is something in this vibration that is forcing you to go back, research the numbers, revise the numbers, figure out your own financial way of dealing with certain things and what needs to be done differently at work, what needs to be done differently in your routine, what needs to be done differently in this focus. Full moon eclipse in the second house, Jupiter, one of the rulers of this eclipse is in your sixth house of health. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people, what do you do in your routine? Financial shift impacting the routine, impacting the work, impacting the way that you do things. Your financial shift might not be of your doing. It might be from somebody else's situation. And you might not necessarily have been prepared for that. Four of Swords. I understand that you might not have been prepared for that. A lot of people need to recognize the new information that's coming to light. And I don't necessarily feel like everybody's getting new inspiration in the immediate. Not inspiration, information. It could be inspiration for some of you. Information in the immediate. I feel like there's a lot of information that needs to come to the surface and come to the light over the course of these next 2 weeks going into the next eclipse to make this make complete sense for a lot of people, but anticipate new information, new things coming to light, new things coming into focus that's going to take some work to deal with. It's going to shift some things in your routine, but in the long run, you have fortune with it, with this Nine of Cups energy. And I always look at the Nine of Cups, it's like, it's better to be lucky than smart. And a lot of you are being put in a situation where it's like, I'm so lucky that I didn't make that change. I'm so lucky that I did make this change. I'm better off with doing what I did. I'm better off not being connected anymore. There's something that's like, it's like, even if you can't see luck on your side, luck is still on your side and you just don't even realize it. There's a shift in that vibration. And again, Uranus, one of your chart rulers, is in your fifth house of luck. And I look at that Nine of Cups and I realize sometimes it's fortune that forces you back. It's luck that forces you back. Because by forcing you back into something, and right now you're only at the one element of forcing you back into revising, reviewing, relooking something from the past. It's like once you understand why, and once you completely see the elements as to why, it's going to have this categorical rippled effect of one thing after another that, again, forces the rest of the mindset, forces the rest of the focus, forces the rest of the ideas. But if you're feeling like suddenly something that has happened has made you feel very, very stuck in the recent weeks, I would not be surprised. I just really wouldn't. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to the star of the show, Pisces and Pisces risings. You are the troublemakers. You are the ones creating things going on. You're the one making changes. You're the one feeling some level of internalized change. I'm looking at this. This is a full moon in Pisces. One of your rulers, one of your chart rulers, Neptune, is in that second house of money. The other ruler is Jupiter in your fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. Some of you are going to feel some type of romanticism in this vibration. Some of you are going to be seen differently. Some of you are going to have something from the past, a legal situation of some sort that is pushing responsibility back onto you. Others are going to be dealing with things with your children. Others are going to be dealing with some kind of shift in responsibility that can also impact the finances. But really and truly, whenever it comes to this eclipse, so much of this energy really, really, really has a benefit for you. Oh, full moon in your first, something that impacts your mind, your body, your identity. This is an eclipse in your first. So it's a long-term impact of your mind, your body, your identity, and so many things that have been hidden below the surface that have not seen the light of day are going to find their ways out. We have this Hermit card and we have the Moon card. There's certain things coming into light that's finding a way to become revealed. Things that have been going on deep inside of you that you didn't even realize were there. But all it took was the right trigger to bring it out of you. Now we have the Knight of Cups. You've had the right situation to bring it out of you. You've had the right person to bring it out of you. You've had some kind of shift in your fortune, 9 of Cups, that has brought so much of this to the surface. Now, some of you are going to have some financial things going on. We have this 4 of Coins. I'm going to put this up for just a second. Some of you need to be very cautious on how much you share. Some of you need to be cautious on how much you give. Some of you need to recognize, like, not to be so damn giving. And with this 4 of Coins energy, you guys are naturally giving people. You will give to your own detriment in some ways. So I'm saying sometimes you need to watch the things that you are sharing with this 4 of Coins. But some of you, you're really dealing with some connections. We got this Knight of Cups, the 9 of Cups, the Lover's card. This exudes so much like love and potential, and so much happiness can be there. It exudes so much. And it can be romantically beneficial for many of you. However, not all of you need to be romantically beneficial. Some of y'all need to have other connections being made. And that lover connection, that Lover's card can mean other commitments. 2 energies willing to come together to make commitment. Some of you might be making a decision to make a commitment, contractual commitment, to finally hold someone accountable, to finally sign a contract, to finally do something, and to pursue something that speaks to our heart with that Knight of Cups. It's like you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now you have a chance to do something different. Do I take the risk? Do I put it all out on the line? And in some ways, you need to. In some ways, you do. Because it's going to be a part of your emotional growth, your spiritual growth, given that vibration of Saturn coming back into your first. In other ways, it's because of the other side, the commitments that have been made. It forces a different reality, a different idea of responsibility. It forces you to see something differently in these few weeks. It forces other people to see you differently in these few weeks. And there's so much attention on you. And that can be a good thing. But that can be also a very infuriating thing. And if you're having to take on a different level of responsibility that you weren't necessarily prepared for, financial responsibility, physical responsibility of family members, if you're having to take some extra responsibility on, some of y'all are going to be having to deal with like unquieted emotions finally coming up of like, I said to leave me alone. I said I didn't want to deal with this. And now you're putting stuff onto me. And you know what? You're going to hear everything I have to say, whether you like it or not. And the things that you can reveal to other people can be exactly what needs to be heard, and can be exactly what you need to finally let go and release the situation and not be connected with it anymore and not be drawn down by it anymore. You've held things back. You've been dealing with insecurity. But Saturn can give you a backbone. As much as it can make you hold on to responsibility and put a whole different light onto you, it can also give you a backbone of no, I don't want to deal with your trauma. I don't want to deal with your shit. I want to do some things to make me happy. And if you have a problem with that, there's the freaking door. Use it. Be aware of the things that start to bubble to the surface in regards to what you need to heal. And what you need to heal can be what prepares you for connection 6 months from now, 9 months from now. Some of you might be a mix of both. It's like because someone slid into your DMs or you connected on that dating app, it's brought different things to the surface that again made you aware of something you needed to heal. Do what's best for you. And if you're having a moment of like, I just need to cry it out, then babies, cry it out. Do what you need to do and what's best for you in your healing process. If that means doing things that make you feel connected and romanticism and all that, then do that. If that means sitting at home and watching The Blind Side, I don't know why that movie makes me cry. If that's what you need to do to heal, do that. If you need to hold some people accountable, do that too. Do what's best for you, your children, your happiness, your creative energy in this vibration. It's about you and your long-term goals. So be aware of that. Okay. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. Remember that readings are on special, so you can definitely book one-on-one time with me. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.